Good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to repost this practice test back in Schoology. You should already have it. I'll give you a hard copy when I see you. But I want to go through this so we can do a little bit better on the test. All right, so this first one is fill in. This is indicator one. I can determine whether a relation is a function. So fill in the table, mapping and graph below with a relationship, with a relation that does not represent a function. So if I have a table, what is one way that I can determine something is not a function? Take a couple of seconds to think about that. You are correct. Um, if, let me pull this up, sorry about that. If X repeats, comma, the relation is not a function. So if X repeats, the relation is not a function. Okay? So all I have to do is have a repeating X. So I'll just put one twice. Don't make it overly complicated. 1, 2, 3. 1, 1, 2, 3. And so we're going to make Y 1, 2, 3, 4. So nothing overcomplicated. I was thinking about it because I was looking at how many grids my graph had. Because I'm going to do the same relation here, here, and here. So because my X repeats, I have two ones, then that is not a function. Those are ones. All right, so now I'm going to graph this. So I have 1, 1, 1, 2, X is 2, Y is 3, X is 3, Y is 4. So this is a graph. It can be, I can draw lines and connect the points, or I could just leave it like it is. I'm going to step out so the camera will focus on the board. And so now with this, what we do is called the vertical line test. So I'm going to draw vertical lines throughout my graph. So I'm going to draw a vertical line here, here, and here. So on this one, this vertical line hits 2 points. So it's not a function. So fail the vertical line test. And I'm just going to abbreviate vertical. It failed the vertical line test because that line went through 2 points. Now here you only went through 1 point. Here you only went through 1 point. But if at any point in your graph you go through more than 1 point, you failed the vertical line test. So now let's try the mapping diagram. So my inputs are 1, 2, and 3. Well, you might say it's 1, 1. Just because it repeats over there, you don't repeat it over here. I'm going to show you how it repeats. And then my outputs are 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to change colors. Yeah, blue, that's fine. So I have 1 going to 1, and I also have 1 going to 2. That right there, I call the crocodile mouth or the alligator mouth that opens up like that, the other way. Like this, that's what tells me it's not a function. 2 goes to 3, 3 goes to 4. So it's not a function because of this right here. All right, you can pause at any time if I'm going too fast. I don't mind going fast on a video because you can pause it. So again, why do these not represent functions? Because an input has more than one output. So the input has more than one output. Okay, now we're going to fill them in the table, the graph, and the mapping function with a relation that does represent a function. So in this one, we're trying to get a function. So we got to make sure our x does not repeat. But guess what? I'm going to do this. 2, 2, 2, 2. That is a function. Y repeats, but we don't care about Y. I mean, we care, but not like that. So what we're concerned about is x. So x does not repeat. And we're going to retake the test Friday, and I want to make sure that you all are ready. So let's plot these points. I'm going to change colors. So where x is 1, y is 2. When x is 2, y is 2. When x is 3, y is 2. And when x is 4, y is 2. So we have a good old horizontal line, which passes the vertical line test, because if I draw a vertical line anywhere along here, I'm only going to hit 1 point vertically. So it passes the vertical line test. So you're only looking for it to hit 1 point. Now I'm going to put this over here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are my inputs. I only have one output, and that is y. I'm going to change colors. So everything has an output of 2. We don't care that these are all going to the same number. What I'm concerned about is if one of these goes to more than one number. Okay? So how do we know that these are represent functions? Each input has exactly one output. So each input has exactly one output. That's how I know that it is a function. You can pause the video at any time. Okay, now we're going to get into something a little different. So now we're going to write function rules from a table, a graph, and I forgot what you call this. I'll think of it in a minute. Okay, so what we're looking for is something in the form of y equals mx plus b. Remember that one? Those are the lines. M is the slope. M is also called the rate of change. And we find our rate of change by, I'm going to put a delta, that's a Greek letter. The change in the y direction looks like a triangle, that means change. So delta y over delta x means change in the y direction divided by the change in the x direction. Also, b is the y-intercept, but it's also in some cases the initial value. So when would we use these? If I'm building a ramp, then I would be concerned about the slope. If I'm driving, my speed is a rate of change. There's also some other terms for slope, unit value, and things like that that we haven't gotten into in this section. B, the y-intercept, in some cases, it can also be called the initial value. As you recall in the word problems, when there was an initial value, I told you that was the y-intercept. So in number 3, we want to look at the change in the y direction. So as I go from this one to this one, from this one to this one, what are we adding each time? Are we adding or subtracting something? Let me step back so I can focus again. So from 0 to 1, I'm adding 1. From 1 to 2, see that? All the way down. On this side, I'm doing the same thing. Put my arrow this way. I'm adding 1. So my rate of change, my slope, is the change in y direction, which is plus 1, over the change in x direction, and that's equal to 1. Okay. Now, my y-intercept, that's where x is equal to 0, so it's 1. And then now I'm just going to plug that into the y equals mx plus b equation. So where I have an m, I'm going to put this 1. And where I have a b, I'm going to put that number. So that is my function rule. Now let's look at the graph. Look at that graph for a moment. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to find the slope. We're going to find the y-intercept. The y-intercept is where the graph crosses the y-axis. I'm going to step back so it can focus. And you look at that for a moment and think about what the y-intercept is. Follow your graph to your y-axis and where does it cross? Okay, it crosses at 5. Correct, right here. So now, that's my y-intercept. Now I need to find the slope. So, I don't know why I saved it. Okay. So I found a point that's at a corner of a box. And then, let me change color. I'm going to go from here to here along my graph. Okay, so when I count down, 1, 2, that's my rise. And then I go over. So you do your up and down first, and then you're over. 1, 2, 3. So that's my slope. So y is equal to m, which is 2/3, x plus b, which is 5. Got it? Okay, I'm going to clear all of this. You can pause the video if you need to go back and look at it. Oh, this is down as far. So now we have a figure 1, 2, 3, and 4, and we need to do a table. So we're going to call this x equals 1, x equals 2, 3, and 4. So the first thing I need is a table. So when x is equal to 1, I have 3 blocks. When x is equal to 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When x is equal to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then when x is equal to 4, I have 9 blocks. Changing color. So my change in y, I got to find my slope. Delta y over delta x. So from here to here, plus 2. From here to here, plus 2. From here to here, plus 2. So that's my change in y, plus 2. And then my change in x, plus 1, so forth and so on. But we're going to simplify that to 2. My y-intercept is where x equals 0. I don't have an x equals 0. I'm going to put 1. So to get from here, I added here, but to go back here, I need to subtract 1. Here, I need to subtract 2. So my y-intercept is 1. So my equation is y equals m, which is 2, x plus 1. So that's how you do that type. I'll stop this right here so you can absorb this, and then we'll do the next video, which is the second sheet.